There is a lot of mental chatter going on up here. Because when this message started to come through, it was really hard for me to pinpoint where the conversations were going. Like everything was overlapping. It was like thought after thought after thought. I was hearing things after like hearing things, but it was like it was all intertwining. I just heard left, right, and center, like thoughts coming from left, right, center. Whoever this is for, I'm getting that you're either very much in your head right now, very much in your mind, or for some of you, it may be that there is that Wairua or spirit, the universe, whatever terminology you fuck with, is trying to communicate with you intuitively and you're not listening. Because it started off as just like the thoughts crossing over one another, and then it started to get louder and louder and louder. And something I've learned is that when they get louder, it's because you're not paying attention and they're trying to get your attention, or you're deliberately ignoring it. And so they get louder and they get louder and they get louder until you start listening. And when I say they, like I said, it could be universe, it could be God, it could be tupuna, it could be spirit, way to a source divine, whatever terminology that resonates with you, take it as you will. It's collective, so it will resonate for everybody differently, and either one is okay. I get this really skeptical energy about trusting your intuition. So maybe you're learning to trust your intuition at the moment more than you ever have, and you're really struggling to do that. And they want me to say that that's not a bad thing. Most people at first are skeptical of it. I'm hearing a reminder that as much as you are a physical being, as much as you are a human being, as much as you are the body, you are also a soul. Whether you believe in that 100% or not isn't the point. It's the fact that I think a part of you knows that spiritually there is an alignment in there somewhere for you, and at this stage you're figuring that out. And that's the thing about spirit. That's the thing about Wairua divine, is they don't need validation of their existence. They just exist. It's humans that need validation of our existence, and it's humans that need validation of spirit, Wairua divine's existence. They don't care. They exist whether we believe in them or not. It's whether or not we, as humans, in our human experience, are willing to go down that path and discover it in more depth. And when we make the decision to go down that path openly, go openly, then they will guide us through that path as we are meant to be guided. And being taken back to the mental chatter that's going on. So there's a lot of mental chatter. That mental chatter is going to clear when you start listening. I did another message about truth and how truth is your power is in your truth and your vulnerability. And something about truth is coming up again because I'm starting to burp. So there's like a release that needs to happen through your throat, which when that happens for me, I take that as your truth needing to be spoken. So that mental chatter is probably heightening, it is probably getting louder, and it's probably getting a lot more chaotic because you're either deliberately ignoring it, not paying attention to it, or you're trying to distract yourself from the fact that it's happening. But then you're also sitting there with yourself, almost dwelling on the fact that you feel lost, you feel confused, you're not really sure what's going on, but you're actually putting yourself in that own energy. Like your intuition is trying to guide you, but you're actually not allowing it to guide you. But yet you're asking the question of why can I not figure out what's going on? That's because the guidance that you're looking for isn't going to be found in your mind. The guidance that you're looking for will be given to you internally. It'll be intuitive guidance that you're needing, but because you're skeptical of listening to yourself intuitively, that's creating that mental chatter, that mental chaos that's happening within the mind at the moment. Here are 3 weeks. So maybe this mental chatter has been building for you over the last 3 weeks, and you're starting to notice that it's increasing more and more and more. If this is for you and it has been increasing over the last 3 weeks or so, and you're starting to realize that it's starting to heighten as the weeks go on, that is a sign for you. That is a sign for you to stop, take a step back, and actually start to listen to what you're being guided in here, not in here. Hearing overthinker. So you might be an overthinker and might have been an overthinker for a large portion of your life. It's not a bad thing. Spirit is like heightening the fact that it's not a bad thing. It's a very normal human experience. There is like this massive need for you to because they keep asking me to use human experience, human experience, human experience, almost like a part of you knows that you are a human being, but also knows that you are a spiritual being, but a part of you is so skeptical of your spiritual being that you're pushing it away and they want you to explore it. They want me to say, I know that the unknown can be scary sometimes. The unknown can be scary sometimes. They're wanting me to share what it was like for me when I started. When I first, hello again, Kahu. When I first started coming into this, it's hard for me because I've always had certain things come up as a child, like since I was very, very young. But I didn't have anyone around me specifically that was able to help guide me in that space. And so a lot of the time it got suppressed because nobody was really open to it, and so I didn't have the guidance around it. 11:11. Kia ora. I didn't have the guidance around it, and so I suppressed it in myself for quite a while. But it didn't mean that it stopped happening. When things started to get more heightened for me, was I want to say maybe about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, just leading into 2 years ago. Um, it's not that it wasn't there, but it was that things started to really pick up. And I think it was because the energy for me at that time was that it was building. And then a year after things started to happen for me, everything kind of heightened dramatically. What part do you want me to speak about? The fear. So I had a lot of fear when I stepped into this space because I didn't have anyone to guide me at that stage still. And anyone that I asked questions about the way to a space or the world of spirit would only be able to give me surface level answers. I'm getting that whoever this is for, you're quite deep because they're asking me to go into my depth because I'm quite a deep person. Like there's not a single thing about me that is surface level. And so when I need answers to something, I'm not asking for a surface level answer. I need the depth. I need the understanding of it to comprehend logically what it is that I'm doing. And when I first started this out, I was very much in my mind, very much in my head, very much trying to figure everything out in spirit logically, on a logical level, because it was new to me. It was unknown to me in the ways that I was experiencing it. What did I do? The biggest thing that I did when I started to go through this was that I leant into it. As much as I was fearful, I gave just as much I leant in with just as much trust as I had fear. And eventually, over time, that fear started to dissipate out. It wasn't that instantly I started to trust, it's that that trust had to be built, right? With just like with anything. Because your mind will still get in the way as you build that trust within yourself to lean more into your intuition. It's not that one day you wake up and you instantly just trust your intuition. Not for me, anyways, maybe for some. Take what resonates, because that very well likely could be the path that you go on. And if it is, then that's the path you're meant to be on. But they want me to more lean into specifically how I started. So it was in fear, but then I lent in with trust. And the more that I lent in with trust in my intuition, in my tupuna, in the universe, that fear slowly over time started to dissipate. And I'm meaning that this started 2 years ago, okay? And we've only just come into the stage maybe in the last year where I have really started to trust it. Trust my intuition. Sorry. So from that, they're asking you to lean in. There's a fear, but fuck it and do it anyway. I think one of the things, because I think people get a lot of, yes, they get skeptical, but they also get scared because it's unknown and because they don't understand it. And the one thing that I continuously told myself is that I think I would rather know because I think it's safer for me to know and understand as much as I possibly can and connect with it on a level that I can as deeply as I possibly can rather than know nothing at all. Like it got to a point where it felt safer for me to know more than to know nothing. And I've had like flickers of people come in and out of my life that have helped guide me. None of them have really genuinely like stayed completely. They kind of come in and out. They've kind of come in and out. So a lot of this I've had to do on my own and have had to figure out on my own. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. At the time when I was processing that, it was more so like, okay, why is this happening? Like I needed a mentor. I felt like I needed a mentor, but also when you energetically connect deeper within yourself, you'll know when someone is right for you and when someone isn't. And no one has ever walked into my life and kind of been like, yeah, this is the person that's meant to help me in this space. No one's ever come in and done that. And so essentially what I've taken from that is that I was meant to be my own guide. I wasn't meant to specifically have anyone guide me. And in that happening, it actually taught me a lot more, having to figure things out for myself, having to go even deeper into myself. And so maybe this is the path that you're also on, is that maybe you feel like you want to step into the space, but you feel like you need someone to guide you. But quite honestly, take a second to step back and think to yourself, maybe you're not meant to have someone guide you. It's okay to ask people for help. It's okay to ask them for guidance. But if you don't feel like you sit on the same energetic level and you feel like they're not permanent in your journey when it comes to your spiritual being, then they're not meant to be permanent. Whether that conversation lasts an hour to 5 minutes to 2 minutes, whatever you're meant to experience in that time frame that you're asking for that guidance is what you're meant to receive. And if they're meant to stay as someone that's meant to guide you in that space, then they will. But if not, then there is so much more for you to learn. And what I am getting, because this is something that's come up for me, is that I think the reason why I never had someone to guide me in this space is because I was meant to be a guide for others. And in order for me to do that, I see now that I needed to learn everything I possibly could, because having the answers handed to me, I wouldn't have experienced it in the same way. So there potentially for some of you could be the path where you are meant to also guide people spiritually, and maybe you've already felt this, maybe you haven't yet, but you might. And so therefore, the things that you experience within your spiritual being could potentially be a lot harder for you than what other people might experience. But they don't want you to see that as a bad thing. They want you to really take that on and flow with it, lean into it, and just let it play out in the way that it needs to play out. But that mental chatter that you are experiencing right now will clear when you start listening. When you start actively listening to it. And the thing is you don't even necessarily need to act on it straight away. It's the fact that they're trying to help you build that trust with yourself. And even if you stop for a second and take that moment to just genuinely hear what they are saying for you or saying to you, or what your internal compass is trying to speak, and then sit with what you've heard, what you've felt, that's still okay too. They're not asking you to listen and act immediately. Like, use your discernment when it comes to your intuition. If you're feeling called to do something, take it, receive it, don't reject it. Just take it in, receive it, sit with it, and wait for the next call to move. But it is only when you start actively listening, that's the first step for you, is when you start actively listening, will that mental chatter clear for you. It's a really powerful energy. And when you lean into it, that fear will dissipate. It's just getting over that first step of trusting yourself. And then the fear will start to dissipate. Your trust will start to build. And then eventually that fear will be no more, where it will hold you back, and that trust will become your main function when it comes to your intuition. It just really depends on how much you listen, how much you are not even ready, because you are ready, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. Spirit doesn't have a timeline. They don't run on our clocks. So if they're calling you, it's because you're ready. So the question isn't, are you ready to go deeper into this? They're basically saying, you're ready. All we're waiting for is for you to turn your taringas on, your ears, and actually start listening. You got some strong guides, because they're coming through like the energy that they're coming through in is not angry, but they're almost like at a point where they're like, how many damn times do I have to sit here and tell you the same thing? Like, come on, let's get it together, and let's do this, okay? But that also could be the energy that you're in. Like, you're kind of getting fed up with yourself at this point, because you're like, why am I still in this like predicament? Why am I still here ruminating? Is that a word? Cultivating all of these thoughts in my head when I could just shut the fuck up and listen. Mm. So that's that message for today. Is there is a lot of mental chatter, and that mental chatter will start to clear when you start to listen to your intuition. Um, Tupuna don't run, or our ancestors, guides, divine don't run on a normal clock. They run on their own timeline, their divine timeline, and that is unfortunately not a timeline you will get to see with your physical eyes. It's a timeline that will be revealed to you throughout each step, throughout each phase, and that's something you will need to learn to trust in. Hmm. I'm going to leave that message there. I hope this provides whoever it needs to with guidance, and I hope that you move with peace in the chaos of life. Be kind to yourself, always be so fucking kind, and as always, much love.